What is up, my friends? This is Hunter B here. Just got off from a 12-hour overnight shift and wanted to just talk to you guys this morning about um, the best college major I believe for the money, and that is being a respiratory therapist. Now I know a lot of people are like, "What the hell's a respiratory therapist?" Well, it's basically like it is comparable to a nurse, and uh, and the easiest way to kind of just tell you what it's about is just kind of tell you what I do. So um, let's just say I'm working a day shift because it has a little bit more diversity. Um, so let's say you come in about 7 a.m. in the morning. You have your morning breathing treatments. You go get those uh, knocked out, and then you might have a C-section that you have to go to. And basically, our responsibility, we are the people that the doctors hand the baby to resuscitate them and clear their airway, warm them. You might have to give them some breath. Sometimes you have to intubate them. Sometimes you have to put them on what we call CPAP, which is basically like a breathing device for them to help open up their lungs. And every once in a while, you have to put them on a ventilator, which actually breathes for them. So you might have to do something like that, but 98% of the time it goes pretty smooth. And after that, you'll have maybe some cardiac stress test, which basically consists of you have a patient and you want them on a treadmill and you monitor them with an EKG, which is monitoring their heart rate and rhythm, and you want them to walk on the treadmill up until their heart is at a certain rate, depending on their age and everything like that. And then they get scanned, but that's a whole other deal. Then you might have a pulmonary function test, which tests breathing function. So now this is at a rural hospital. At a bigger hospital, you'll probably like when I worked. I'm originally from Memphis, and when I worked there, you just worked at an ICU, and that's all you did all the time, every day, which is totally. I mean, that's cool. You know, I loved it, but just wanted a little bit more variety. And so I'm up here in rural Kansas now, and you do just so much more. The stuff you have to know is just crazy. But as far as like the actual schooling, I went to school for 2 years, and you could, if you were more ambitious than I am, you could go to school for 4 years, and you could bridge that into going to school for something else, such as like a PA or an anesthesia assistant or perfusionist or whatever, medical school, whatever you want to do. For me, I didn't want to go that route just because I didn't want to be in school forever. My family was poor. I was poor. I was sick of being poor, man. And so I needed something that I could make real good money in fast. And so the schooling wasn't too bad. You have to put in the work, that's for sure. Uh, it isn't too bad, but it does take time, and you have to want it. So after school, I got a job offer up in Kansas, which is where I live now, for $18 an hour, which really isn't that great. But they paid for me to move up here, and they gave me a sign-on bonus, all this other type of stuff. So I couldn't really say no. And after that, I worked there for about 3 years, really gained experience, reputation as somebody who knows what they're doing and is reliable. And after that, I was able to jump to another job where I made a $6 an hour raise. And also, at that point, I picked up another full time job where I made about a $4 an hour raise. And so I worked both of those for about 5 years, and May ended up being able to pay off my house and build a garage, which I'll show you guys here in a minute. Or you can check out my other videos; they're in there. I remodeled this old farmhouse and built me like a 6-car garage. It's pretty awesome. But I don't know. People might say, "Well, what about being an engineer?" Which being an engineer, I think, is great. Especially a couple of years ago, a petroleum engineer was, man, that was the job right there. But as far as commodity, that's one thing I love about my job. It's not based on a commodity. like a lot of engineering jobs can be. So basically, with an engineering job, and this is don't kill me in the comments, but it's mostly a 9 to 5 gig, and it's going to be hard to find something where you can work a whole lot if you want to. I know that there are some cases, but I'm just speaking in general terms. As to our respiratory therapist, man, you could work as much as you wanted to. If you wanted to work 80 hours a week, that's no problem. If you want to work 36 hours a week, that's no problem. If you want to be PRN and work 12 hours a week, that's no problem. I know people who just work, um, they might work 48 hours or so a week in the summer or in the winter, and then they basically take the summers off. They might work just a little bit. Now, it's mostly younger people, but it's possible. As far as like the job market and stuff, I think there's a very high demand for it. Just in my circumstances, I see jobs open all the time. 2 weeks ago, I probably had 4 job offers in 1 week, which is insane. And that's not me asking. That's just people trying to contact me and wanting me to come to their hospital. And I wish I could work more, but I have a son and a wife now, and that's you got to value your family before anything. But okay, now and getting back to the education, people might say, well, what about becoming a nurse? And that's great, like um, being a nurse is awesome. My wife's a nurse. I mean, that's half the reason you become a respiratory therapist is to marry a nurse. But yeah, I'm just kind of kidding there. But if you're a guy, man, that's not you're not gonna be able to get a better pool of market, a pool or a market of more eligible and quality women as nurses and doctors and stuff like that. So that's kind of off subject, but it's true. And but as far as like a respiratory therapist, I can go kind of do my own thing. I don't have to stay locked down on one unit or one or some specific patient or something like that. I can go from place to place. Like I might be over an OB helping them with a baby, and then I can pop over to ER and we're doing EKG on somebody or help them with a code or a trauma or whatever. And also, as a respiratory therapist, you're anything juicy in the hospital, you're going to be in there. Anything, all the car wrecks, all that stuff. Like you have a pretty big role in that stuff. And sometimes, even with like stuff to where the patient isn't so critical, I'll usually just go and help them anyways, because that's part of my job, I feel. So if you're looking for a career change, or you're just a young person and you're looking at maybe something that you'll want to do in the future, um, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. It's a great job. It's a great career. It's very fulfilling. Um, if you're good at your job, you'll have the respect and the admiration of your coworkers, from all the doctors. It's a very, very fulfilling thing to have that, and just to be able to help people, and you can go to bed every day, just knowing that you helped the world a little bit today. So it's a great feeling, man. It's like I said, I'd probably repeat myself. It's a wonderful job, a wonderful career. I only spent $10,000 on school. You could do it for a hell of a lot less. Um, my wife did it. My wife went to nursing school for free, so her she had the hospital paid everything for her. So you can do it. If you guys have any comments, just holler at me down in the section, and I'll always get back to you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.